recording now on my end. So guys, what we're doing is just highlighting up with the white. And then by the time we're done with this one, we'll hop over and finish out the red Kelpie.
Also, I assume you're picking up audio, so if I talk, it records it?
Yep, should be perfect.
Awesome. Well, wanted to say thank you guys for those who did watch what was live and what was going on. But we adapted, we overcame, and we will be stronger. So thank you very much. We do apologize for the little bit of an inconvenience, but the video itself will be on Twitch and on YouTube soon enough, and you guys will be able to see the rest of it. Because you don't want to miss these beautiful kelpies, do you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and for me, you know, what I'll do too, whenever we're done here is I'll do a couple speed tests on my end. And what I'm assuming is that it's the same kind of issues that they were having before, where it's I'll have a totally fine download speed, but the upload speed will bottom out, which means it's on their end, the ISP's
Right.
end. And then if I have to call, and then I'll do like a real reset in terms of unplugging everything from the, because to reset your connection for real on their end, you have to unplug the coax too, which is odd. But so then I'll do both of those, and if it doesn't work, I have to wait until Sydney gets here because she has the account, so she's the one that has to call.
Yeah, hopefully it's this is a temporary thing and you can reset it and fix it, because I would hate for the entire like area to just have all these issues.
Yeah.
You know.
But it's happened before. I mean, when I lived up here before, it'd be like a whole day where it's just dead in the water. So, but I mean, we've lived here. I don't know what we May, June, July, August, September. So 5 months, no problems. So that's not too bad, I suppose. Then let's take Goblin Skin and we'll paint the. I think I remember doing this when I did it the first time. Let's paint the skulls here on the base with Goblin Skin. That'll be a nice little bony base color. But you were asking what we did over the weekend, and so Friday I had to drive down to Texas. Saturday was Patreon stuff. Sydney was working, and then we just did a bunch of cleaning, pretty much. And that was it. It was just one of those, oh, it's the weekend, so we have to do a bunch of chores type of weekends.
I believe that. For me, it was pretty much family stuff all weekend, since it was my birthday Saturday, and it was just, it's almost like I had to go and do appearances, you know?
Right. Yeah, a weird tech thing that I worked through with my dad. He got a new laptop, and it had this like built-in setting. He couldn't figure it out, and I had to help him. So like if you plugged it into another monitor, the main monitor and all the settings windows would open up in a section that you couldn't even access. So not the original laptop monitor and not the monitor you just plugged in. And so finally I figured out that it had it said that there was a third monitor, and I guess the laptop, you could have purchased an additional like branded like USB dock thing that you can plug it into, and it charges from the dock and all of that. And it also then reads it as a USB monitor. which I didn't even know was a thing. So I had to like help him figure out how to disable that in the hardware, or like the the driver menu and all that stuff, and actually get his laptop to just work like a normal laptop. But that definitely stumped
That
me.
sounds wacky. Wow.
I've never heard of it, but it was like, yeah, like when you looked it up, it just said like USB dock monitor something something, and then once we disabled it, it worked just fine. But so odd. But yeah, that's pretty much it. We watched the new episode of Lovecraft Country on or yesterday, and called it a weekend.
Have you been keeping up with the boys?
No,
Goblin Skin?
everybody says I should watch it, and I haven't.
Oh, it's so good. Although I want to check out Lovecraft Country as well.
Yeah, that show, because we started watching Raised by Wolves too, which had been suggested to me, and I just can't get into it. It's like too slow and just not doing it. So I don't care if Ridley Scott directed some of the episodes. It's just weird. So what I'm doing now is I'm just taking the Heraldic Red directly, same way that we did that first mix for the Viper Green, and I'm highlighting up the exact same areas we did before we start mixing in our Goblin Skin. Same story, different colors. And now I am going to be ignoring the hair and the other bits of kelp, because we'll do those separately like we did on the other kelpie. Now then, taking the Heraldic Red, I'm going to mix that in 50-50 with the Goblin Skin. It's going to make a really nice color. It actually looks like a sort of like a coral version of rust brown. And we'll use this to start doing our brighter highlights here. Justin, have you ever had the freeze-dried seaweed snack?
Yeah, the one that's yeah, it's like in really thin sheets.
Yeah. Are you a fan of that?
I think it's fine. It's I haven't had it in a long time, but it's very it does have a lot of flavor to it for basically no calories. I know that.
Right.
So it is definitely it was a favorite of mine when I was in really good shape.
Mmm. Back in '83 when you were on the pro league team.
Yeah, when I could throw a football over those mountains.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm assuming the red kelpie, if you dried her out after an adventure, would be the spicy version. And then the regular kelpie is just your regular seaweed. I was happy to stop at Buc-ee's when we were down there. I got some of the Bucky nuggies. I've been missing those.
People love those things. I like it remind me of corn pops.
Yeah. I got the Sydney really likes the bold and sort of spicy ones. And they're pretty good. They're weird. They're like they're really oily. I noticed as we were eating them. I'm like, these are just like drenched in oil. But my dad was like, this gas station's crazy. This is crazy. All right, now I'm going in with our Goblin Skin here. Similarly to us highlighting up with the white mixed in with the green, I'm just doing the Goblin Skin. Who's in here? A puppy? Garrus, what are you doing in here, huh? He says I'm scratching my neck. Garrus, do you have fleas? Do you need a bath? Is that what you're telling me? Oh, bless you. Oh. Sneezing dog. My allergies have been terrible up here. The air quality has been at like 40% for the last like 4 days.
I don't think our air quality has been too bad, but it's at least as far as I can tell. But the allergies, oh man, it was really bad for me last week. I think it was.
Yeah.
During ReaperCon was rough.
Yep. It's like a ton, so much pollen. But that was the thing, right? Is that it cooled off and it got down, like the highs were in the 50s and 60s up here. And the lows were in the 50s and high 40s. And then it rained an insane amount the entire time. And then now it's back up to like 88 and 90% humidity. So all the plants are like, oh, time to grow. It's spring again.
Especially down here.
Yeah. But that's a good sign because that's, Texas and Oklahoma have similar seasons where you've got summer, brutal summer, and then you have fake fall, and then the last dying breath of summer, and then autumn, and then fall, and then spring.
Yeah. Yeah, telling people out of state, like, hey, we don't really experience very many seasons. It's basically summer, slightly less hot summer, sometimes chilly summer, and then just more summer.
The only chilly summer I prefer is Hatch chilly summer.
Oh man, I have grown to really enjoy Hatch chilies.
See, now I was getting excited. I thought you were going to say I've been growing Hatch chilies, but yeah. But yeah.
I don't know if I could do them justice. I could try to grow them, but I don't know if they'd be worth eating.
Right. Now that I added a little touch of white to our Goblin Skin to do our final skin highlight here on this Kelpie, the red Kelpie. I'm just going right for the top of the hairline. The bridge of the nose thing, I guess. The nose, the Muppet nose. They don't really have noses. And then the chin. Then we'll do the top of the shoulder. Similar to our final highlights we did, right, on the green Kelpie. Down the arm. And then that nice rounded highlight on the hip into the waist right here. Help give it a lot more shape. The hand, flip it to the back. All right. Oh, I didn't even think I should have told Ron. He was like, "Yeah, you should mail it down." I should be like, I can just drive down, right? It's a 2-hour drive. It's not like it's too crazy.
Might as well be a migration.
A migration. Okay.
Yeah, migration. Mm-hmm.
So now I'm going to go and grab our intense brown. I'm going to use this to highlight up. Instead of using heraldic red, I'm going to be using this color for our vegetation on the red Kelpie. Now we'll highlight it up the same way on top of this. But I just want a separate tone for the vegetation. So we'll go with a browner kelp. Brown kelp. This is chocolate Nestle kelp here. Coffee kelp. You know what? I'm sure somebody's tried to do kelp coffee. I guarantee it. That seems like a crunchy idea someone's probably tried to market. Oh, I did see that coffee company. They sponsored ReaperCon, didn't they? They were on the little
Coffee company? Which one?
the one that sent that huge bag before.
Oh, yes, the DV Radio folks.
Yeah.
I don't remember who was on the list of our sponsors. I would not be surprised if they were on there, though.
Because, yeah, I remembered seeing the logo, I believe. And I thought, oh, hey. Hey, hey,
Yeah,
hey.
the guys over there are super nice. They sent us a bunch of like swag and coffee cups and coffee and all kinds of cool stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really get to, well, really, our Miniature Monday last week was like, you know, I probably heard like mortar shells going off over your head and stuff, right? But because it was the middle of ReaperCon. But so now that it's over, what was like? Did you have any like crazy like 911 technical challenges that you pulled off, or like did you have anything cool that you kind of realized that you may want to try further? Like I guess any major challenge that was overcome, or any new idea that you might want to play with that you kind of ran into.
The biggest issue that I ran into was the second day of the con. I think it was no Saturday. It was Saturday. I came in, booted up my system, and my capture card was not the one that's in my PCI slot. Did not read anything. Not my cameras. Not anything. It was basically dead in the water. And I was like, "Oh no!" So, but all I had to do there was basically reinstall drivers, and it was fine the rest of the con. But that was really the biggest hurdle. There wasn't any other. There was some initially in the beginning. There was some weird sound echoing because I had sent sound to channels that I was listening on that didn't need to be there. I just had to re-engineer a couple of things, but outside of that, there's nothing honestly, and this is crazy, but there was nothing meltdown worthy or really crazy. The most difficult was that the capture card just not working 30 minutes basically before the first show was supposed to start.
Right.
So luckily that was not an emergency. So it was fairly painless. It was just a busy weekend.
Right.
Busy 5 days, whatever.
Well, that's good. And then I saw the. Now I don't know if they. I'm assuming they did because they're not on the store anymore. But did you actually sell out of the airbrushes, or you got? I think you got pretty close.
I don't know. I have not checked. I know that I would like to. I think I'm going to pick mine up personally and give it a shot. But I don't know anything about airbrushing, so. But yeah, I don't know if we sold that or not.
Because yeah, I know that it was down to less than 20 on the shallow cup version, and then I don't remember how many, like 30 something of the deep cup by like Monday. So that's pretty good. Because I know there were quite a few in stock. There were a lot of the deep cup, and then less of the small cup. And I was telling a lot of people too, it doesn't make a huge difference really between the two models. If you're just a general hobby person, you'll be fine. So
yeah, the expectation was that I think we were going to sell fewer of the shallow cups. I think maybe people would somehow be less interested in the shallow cup, but I don't know if that's necessarily true.
I know I've been using it a whole lot, so there you go. Everybody keeps asking me. They're like, it's so funny too because now what it was people that were watching my event on Saturday that like didn't typically watch me, and they'd be like, okay, what's your honest opinion? And I always kind of laugh at that because I'm like, I literally only give honest opinions, right? Like if I don't like something, I'll be honest about it. And every time I'm like, this is now my main airbrush, and I got extra for a reason, you know. So, hey, Garrus, I need you to sit.
I keep hearing that. It reassures me because we keep hearing that from multiple people, you and other people we've sent it to, and I don't think we've had any seriously negative reviews on it. Like, there's been some feedback, like quirks here and there, that they wouldn't mind being this or being that, but usually that's a preference thing. It's not like a major issue with the airbrush, you know?
Yep. Yeah, I don't think there's any major issues with it at all. The only thing I know that I'm ready for are the, whenever they're available, the replacement needles, just so I can have them on hand, but at the same time, like, I'm at my end of the airbrushing world now, to where like I always pull my needle back into the body whenever I'm done, so that way if I do make an unfortunate mistake of dropping something or it slams into something else, it doesn't bend. But I do always like to have one on hand just to be safe. But um, otherwise, like functionally, nothing really. And that was one thing too that I was asking whenever Dan did his airbrush class. I was like, "Hey, have you noticed how accurate this thing is from a distance? Because it's like crazy accurate." And scaring the dog with the pillow. He also agreed. He was like, "Yeah, much more." It's what's weird is like it fans out and feathers out the further away you get, and with almost every airbrush model, including the Sotar, but somehow the needle and nozzle on this combo is like crazy. It's you could just shoot from like 3 inches and still be super accurate. And I describe it as like a brush width in terms of paint, so it's amazing. But so this whole time, all I've been doing is scaring my dog and using our null pelt to do our highlights. So similarly, right, we mixed up to make a different color green by using the white on the other kelp. I'm just using null pelt. And now it's pure null pelt with a little bit of white. And that'll get us pretty much where we need to be. Yeah, right now the girl cat Tally is stalking our dog. And whenever that happens, he always like runs to whoever's available and he starts barking to be like, "Oh my gosh, the cat's going to get me." And when he starts barking, he won't stop because that means he's like going into play mode. So you have to like preempt him. And he's terrified of hats and pillows for whatever reason. So like if you hold a pillow up, he just goes running. And then if I take my hat off, he goes running. It's really weird. But those are always the two best modes of defense to prevent a 10-minute bark off because he's afraid of a cat. And the cats don't even do anything to him too, which is funny. They just exist and he gets upset.
He's like, "I don't like the way those cats are existing."
Pretty much. Like very rare. Now Arthur never does it because Arthur doesn't really play that way. But very rarely, Tally, the girl cat, will like stalk him and then she'll run up behind him and just hit him in the butt. She'll just like slap him in the butt, and he's like, "Oh my god, my life is over." But today I had to have him locked up. So we have like a weird hole that I think I told you about it, where I could see into my neighbor's house above our like microwave and oven. And it was just like it was like they were trying to run wires and never closed it and patched it. And it was my neighbor that informed me about it. So we put in a work order 2.5 months ago. And finally, our landlord messages both and is like, "Okay, we're going to send a guy out. He'll be there at 10 a.m. Make sure someone's there, or will someone be there, right?" They asked if that would work. And I said yes. So 10 a.m. comes around. Nobody's here. And then it's like 10:45. And so I message, the property management people. I'm like, "Hey, nobody's here. What's the deal?" And they're like, "Okay, he's 10 minutes away." And then another 40 minutes goes by. And I'm like, "Guys, what's the deal?" Right? Like I'm not going to be available to do this at probably like 1:30 because I needed to run to the post office. I needed to make sure I was ready for this today. And they're like, "Okay, no problem." And then like 1:20 comes around. He's still not here. And this whole time they've been like, "He's 10 minutes away." And then another 30 minutes goes by, right? Just like they have no idea either. And so finally I message and I'm like, "Hey, you're going to have to completely reschedule, right? Like this dude's not showing up and I got to leave." And my property management company messages me back and goes, "Okay, well, we gave him your number. You're going to have to reschedule and work with him. Let us know when he's done." Like, what? They just literally shirked all responsibility and made it our job to work with this guy. And then he showed up as I was leaving at my neighbor's place like 10 minutes later. And then he like knocked on our door because my security camera went off. And he stood there for like 5 minutes waiting for someone to answer. So that also means the property management people didn't tell him that we were going to be gone, and then he never called us back or did anything. So luckily the hole is patched on my neighbor's side, but we still have just kind of like these 3 open holes into the wall. It's just really weird. But this house has been weird this entire time. Very weird decision making.
It has been, based on everything you've told me. It's very odd.
Yeah. But that was like the last thing we were waiting to get fixed. And it's just funny. They're like, well, we tried. Now it's your job. I'm like, oh, okay. Okay. Thanks so much, guys. So, all I did was add a little bit more of that green. And then now I took our Goblin Skin, added some white, and I'm going to highlight up the skulls on the bottom. And, Tally, are you done scaring that dog? Thank you. Now she's like, I'm ready for a nap. That was a lot of fun. Thanks for hanging around and watching the recording. Sorry, of course, with the just really weird internet deal going on. I'm not sure I think it is just an issue on their end based on what I was reading, but because if my internet was literally zeroing out, then Discord should have dropped between Justin and I, and I think it had some weirdness, but it was working still the entire time, so I don't really know what the deal was, but rest assured, hopefully, it'll be all figured out by next week. Next week, we'll work on... honestly, I feel like next week we should just do the little dwarf and then save the big, awesome teak champion for next time. So I think that's probably what we're going to end up doing. So we'll do our dwarf pirate. And it's a fun paint job. I know that we do some freehand, little stripe pattern and stuff on his clothes, and maybe we'll add some other cool OSL glowing eyes. No, we don't. We won't do that every time, but we'll get him knocked out, and then we've got our big fish man. Then, after that, we have the radioactive post-apocalyptic zombie Halloween kit. So, definitely looking forward to that. I think that'll be a lot of fun. Especially, too, since it's not like... They're gory zombies, but they're gory in their own way, right? They're gory with a bunch of oozing, like, weird, rusty, orangey goo and not a bunch of blood. So I think people should have fun with sort of the change of pace with that coloring. So I at least was racking my brain, like, how can we do zombies and not just have them be stereotypical blood fest? But it's crazy to think we're almost into October. It's pretty wild.
Even though we don't experience seasons quite like, most other northern states, I still love fall down here. It's just still my favorite time of the year.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's nice because it's like, you just need like a light jacket for the evenings. And then otherwise, it's window down weather. So like when you're driving, you can always have your windows down. And it's always
it's some of the best motorcycle weather too. I used to ride, obviously. I thought you knew that, right?
No.
Oh really? No. Yeah, I used to ride motorcycles often.
I just like that entire. I used to ride, but you knew that. The confidence you just gave me.
I thought you did. Like I thought we had a conversation. Maybe I'm mistaking that for another person, but
Another
I thought we had
Josh.
a conversation about it.
No. Maybe. I mean, if we did, it would have been like, who knows? But maybe one of like the first conversations I ever had, right? I mean, I usually, my conversational memory is usually good for about 6 months. So, but there we go.
Oh well, then yeah, that makes sense.
There's that, and then because the first few times I was up at Reaper would have been, well, really September and October of last year was when I first started coming around, so...
Then that actually irons out. That makes sense.
Yep. Oh my god, Kat. What? Okay, she is behind the computer monitor in the window. There you go. What's funny is I've been letting the girl cat out during the day a lot more because Sydney's gone now. And she is just all over everything. Arthur doesn't really climb on stuff. He just kind of finds a place to sit and goes to sleep. But the girl cat, man, she's explorer for sure. So here we have our two flavors of Kelpie. Okay, we've got the red algae on the left and our more typical Kelpie here on the right, and then we'll compare it to the original one. Pretty much the same. The only thing different, we have more white and then a little bit more red in the hair, or succubus kiss. But either way, definitely pleased. Very simple paint job to rock out with today. And then remember too, I know some of the people in the chat said they got duplicate Kelpies as well. If you particularly care to get the other one, obviously feel free to send out that help at Reaper Mini email, or you can just paint both of these two different ways like we did today. But hopefully this is cool. You know, I mean, this kit specifically is interesting because, so the ReaperCon Sophie, here she is from last week. She's pretty red, kind of like the red Kelpie we did today. But you know, the dwarf is pretty much just like a normal paint job. He doesn't really stand out in terms of having like a singular color kind of overriding the whole theme. These both, obviously, here are the original two Kelpies for those that wanted to see. And especially to the other sculpt. If you got two of the same sculpt and you didn't get this one, or vice versa, you can see how they look comparatively. This one just a little bit easier to shade up than the one we worked on today. No real difference in technique though. But so they were all green, but it's fun to see, right, that we can shift it and do like a red algae and it still works really well. And actually too, like these Kelpies don't seem evil. This one seems evil, but probably because it's deep purple with red, right? It all kind of makes sense. But then shifting completely, we have the all blue Teak Champion. So that's kind of crazy. I mean, we usually get pretty good utility out of the kits, but everything kind of lives in the same color palette. But this one, it just worked out that every single component is just completely different. So that was pretty cool. But so again, nothing really big in general. I would have already emailed the people that may be rewatching this, but so the winners from last week, right? I've got their info and they now know how to contact me. And then there's the big paint giveaway that's happening at some point. Probably I'll end up doing it at the end of the week because I just have a lot of stuff to do today and tomorrow. And that's pretty much it. I mean, I know they announced like releases through January in terms of upcoming stuff for Reaper. But is there anything new in the world of Reaper that's cool, Justin? Or is it just still, all right, let's get back to business after ReaperCon?
It's basically just back to business right now. We're trying to, most of my time, 70% of it will be spent basically finishing the studio. But outside of finishing the studio, I mean, we do have the Luca show, which is coming up pretty soon. I know I keep saying that, but it's on the horizon. But it's, you know, I'm one person. I'm trying.
Right.
But we have that show, and we have some other stuff that's kind of cooking, but it's not public yet. So.
Awesome. What, and is Luca's show info public, or?
Yeah, we had decided on Wednesday afternoon. We just don't know the super specifics yet. I believe 3 is what we talked about, or 2 or something like that.
Right.
But as far as like real hard specifics, no.
Cool. Well, I know he's a blast. I got to watch his ReaperCon class, so I know he was having fun doing trying to hit the comic, style in that time frame. I know when you're racing against the clock, it can always be difficult, especially with so many people that were watching, right, on the Twitch. That's a million messages a minute, so it can be hard to try and hit anything. But it looked really sweet, so I'll be interested to see if he finishes it, because I know he was saying maybe he did, maybe he finished it and I missed the stream, but I know he was excited to finish out that miniature. So, well, all right. Well, sorry again for the weird connection issues. Definitely unexpected, as all of you know when you were watching. Oh, and you know what's so weird, Justin? I just ran a speed test, and my upload speed is a 100% solid 10.5 megabytes per second.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know what the issue is, really. I guess I'll just have to keep watching, or maybe they fixed the issue. I don't know. But yeah, it looks like my upstream's fine now. That's very odd. But either way, I'll be well, this doesn't matter, but I'll be sending Justin the link so he can, or the file, so he can upload this, and then we'll be ready to rock and roll on a dwarf next week. So thanks for watching, guys. And I'm hitting the button.